Hello and welcome back. It's LaShonda Henry here, aka Sister Sense, and we are once again inside the paid newsletter project. So, as you know, my goal is to help you create, grow, and scale your own simple subscription-based paid newsletter. This is about sharing a variety of strategies that you can look into when it comes to building your email list, getting set up for sales, repurposing your evergreen content, reaching your monthly revenue goals, and boosting your repeat business. So for me, as a solo entrepreneur, one of the things that I've learned is how important it is to work on your sustainability. And one way to do that is to have at least one solid subscription-based offer. So getting into a place where you can have a certain amount of repeat business, customers consistently coming back to you, you consistently generating revenue, especially if there's content that you have that you can repurpose and turn into a paid newsletter. So these are just a few things that I talk about and think about when it comes to working on the paid newsletter project. We're going to talk about a couple of things today, but first thing what I want to do is actually share a quick recap review of some of the things that we've touched on thus far. Okay. So a couple of things, just a quick recap review. So we are officially on week 5, and there are several parts of the process that I wanted to be able to share with you as we go through this project. So week 0, prep, is the paid newsletter mini course plus 3-day challenge. So I don't know if you've participated in that at all, but if you were to go over to susansense.com/paid newsletters, you can opt in to watch the prep pre-newsletter profit plan. It's a mini course as well as a 3-day challenge. And there's definitely some things in there that if you've missed it, you want to go back and listen to. I know some of you aren't participating live, but you're catching the trainings on the replays side, and that is definitely a good one to start off with. Then we had our paid newsletter webinar workshop. That was week 1, and I really gave you a breakdown of what it is and what it's like to put together a newsletter that is subscription-based, right? Week 2, I talked to you about free newsletters, and especially if you're looking to grow your list and find alternative ways to monetize email marketing. We touched on that on week 2, and then week 3, I showed you how to set up your own free newsletter. Week 4 and moving forward, it's all about the paid newsletter project. We talked about 10 plus types of newsletters that you could potentially put together. And then I shared with you 5 frameworks, different blueprints to putting together your own newsletter, as well as the simple newsletter concept. So those were some of the things that we talked about the first couple of weeks. Now that we are on week number 5, we are going to dive into meh versus marvelous. So working on a newsletter, I want to make sure that you work on something that's going to really work for you, right? So putting together a paid newsletter that actually pays, getting it right the first time around, that's something that we are going to dig into today, okay? So I see you guys coming on in here, which is awesome. Now, as we are transitioning into week number 5, I definitely wanted to let you know a couple of things. The first thing is that this particular project, yay, is being extended. So my goal was to initially work on this project for 6 weeks, and I'm going to continue it for the duration of next month. So now it's going to be not just a 6-week, but a 9-week program that's definitely going to give us more time to work on this from start to finish, number 1. So hopefully you're excited about that. Number 2, as we go through this series and you guys continue to move forward with your newsletters, I definitely want to showcase the ladies who launch. One awesome entrepreneur in particular, the lovely Lavon. Yesterday, we worked on her newsletter, and we've actually been working on that for several weeks now. So if you were actually to go over to, actually, let me do a quick power pause so I can share that with you. Okay, so livevibrantly.com/newsletter, livevibrantly.com/newsletter will take you here. And we have been working on her Vibrant Sister Circle newsletter for a couple of weeks. And she did her amazing due diligence of putting the first issue together. And then I helped her put her page together for monthly, quarterly, and yearly subscriptions to the Vibrant Sister Circle newsletter, starting with issue number 1. So I'm excited about her launch, and I am definitely looking forward to seeing and showcasing your newsletters as well. So with that being said, make sure that you send over your creations to me, whether it be via email. You can always email me your updates. You can send me a voice message. Remember, when you go to the SisterSense.com website, you can always click the gray tab on the right to send me a voice message, or inside of our Facebook group. Definitely feel free to post your updates there over at firestarters.sistersense.com, okay? So definitely I'm going to be, for the next couple of weeks, really digging into not just sharing my recommendations with you, but showcasing those of you who are able to launch both your free and paid newsletters from start to finish. Now, remember I said to you we are mainly going to be focused on paid newsletters, but creating either a free one, a paid one, or both of them are your options. And over the past few weeks when I talked about free newsletters, I showed you how I created my SisterSenseSolutions.com newsletter, and I set it up, both of which you can do through the ConvertKit platform, which I'm teaching you through, right? So whether it be free or paid newsletters, you can take a look at the one that I set up at SisterSense.com/solutions. And if you want to dig deeper as far as having one-on-one support with me, some of you do not have opportunities to work with me privately, and you're curious about that, you can definitely take a look at the Insider Circle 90-day program. It's normally a 1-year program, but I created a 90-day experience for those who would like to work with me over the course of 3 months on several projects, including putting together a digital product as well as putting together a newsletter. And it's a combination of done-for-you hours as well as done-with-you coaching and one-on-one support. You can learn more about the Insider Circle Setup and Support 90-day experience at SisterSense.com/ICP90. So before we really dig into today, considering that we are literally at the halfway mark of the program, I wanted to do a few housekeeping things. Number one, just to kind of remind you what we are focused on, what we've done thus far, and the fact that we actually have quite a few more weeks to go so that I can help you grow your newsletters, right, both free and paid. So now that you know what we are up to, let's dig into our session number 5 today, paid newsletters that pay, right? I felt like having a conversation around meh versus marvelous was right on time, because I find that, to be honest with you, you and we could produce pretty much anything, right? But you having a passion project and putting it out there doesn't necessarily mean that that passion project is going to be profitable, right? What factors, what are some things that you can consider so that you can have a good sense of whether or not you're going in the right direction? Of course, research, obviously, right? Being able to not only come up with a newsletter concept, but research and look at your competitors, or private sessions with me, right? So we can talk about what it is that you're putting together. But I also wanted you to be able to have a way to gauge your concept and see if it's a good fit for you and potentially other people that you are looking to reach, okay? So figuring out what's the best newsletter for you is definitely going to be our focus for today. And what I also wanted to do is actually share a message from one of the ladies in the circle, Miss Foy, Miss Andrea. And I felt like this was just such in alignment with our focus for today. So I'm going to share her question, message, check-in with me. And as I'm doing so, just a friendly reminder, if you have progress reports, like I said, or if you have questions too, and you're looking for support and direction, definitely share those with me as well, okay? So let's see here. Hey, Lashonda, this was her email. Here's my update. I've been watching the replays and keeping up, and I'm really happy about this, but I've found myself in this funny dilemma. I want to make too many newsletters. And I had to laugh at that one because, you know, when the ideas are flowing, you're like, I can do this one, I can do this one. I don't know if any of you can relate to that. As we've been going through these projects, you find that you have more than one ideas popping up for you, right? At this point, I have enough content to make newsletters on different things: personal development, leadership, beauty, books, and more. That's why I'm looking at doing a magazine, but I'm wondering about the frequency and how to get it out. I don't want to put all this effort into something that doesn't sell. And that makes sense. You don't just want to focus on, ooh, that sounds like a great idea, or, ooh, this is going to be my new passion project. You want to make an educated decision. You want to work on something that can be potentially profitable for you, okay? So hold on one second. Sorry about that. I was getting an incoming call. Just needed to check that real quick. Sorry. Okay. And so let me just go back to Andrea's message here. Do I just do a newsletter, pick one, which is hard? I have a whole lot of content, right? Or do I go ahead with doing just a magazine and promoting that every day, all day, right? No problems with content. Got plenty of content over the years to repurpose, just kind of figuring out what to do and how, right? So I felt like her question, her check-in was right on time with today. And in order for me to give you kind of like your own DIY assessment, I wanted to talk about, or at least kickstart this conversation around meh versus marvelous, right? And you ever had that feeling where you're like, it was just, it was meh. It wasn't good. It wasn't bad. It was all right, right? It's not really lighting your fire, right? You want to create something that is irresistible, something that is going to wow people, turn their heads, pique their interest, right? So in order to do that, what I want to do is to break this conversation down into several parts. Number one, money. I want us to talk about your revenue goals, the pricing and payment plan options that you could potentially put together, right? So I just kind of showed you, for example, the projects that I've been working on with LaVon. We literally just worked on this part of it yesterday, and her price points, monthly, quarterly, annually, 80, 21, 80, right? You want to think about your money goals, how you're going to price your offer. You want to think about markets, right? And there are different market conversations that we're going to have around identifying your target market, as well as creating a marketing plan, right? And the marketing plan is multifaceted. You could think about how you're going to market and drive traffic to your newsletters, period, whether it's free or paid? How will you use your free newsletter to strategically market either the paid one or other products, right? So there are different concepts that I want us to dig into when it comes to market, number 2, and then map. Being able to map out, not just to me show you the technical parts of putting this thing together, but you need to be able to logistically map out your newsletter, what your plan is going to be at the beginning, what your plan is going to be moving forward. Because if you plan on doing this for a while, you want to make sure that it's going to integrate into your schedule in a way that makes sense, right? Especially if you're like myself and you've got a lot going on, you want to make sure that you map out a schedule, a master plan, an action plan that makes sense for you, number 3, and then number 4, models. I said to you guys a couple of weeks ago, I don't want us to do spaghetti marketing. I don't want you to just kind of throw something at the wall and see if it sticks, right? And one way to do that is to follow the model, the framework, the guidance of successful newsletters before you, right? I love the quote, success leaves clues. So if you are not just kind of building off the cuff, but following strategies and foundations that have already been laid out, that's going to be a great way for you to start off strong. So we are going to talk about the money, the market, the map, the model today as we continue to work on you creating a newsletter that pays, okay? And we're going to continue to dig I'm tongue-tied, to dig deeper into this as we grow and continue to build your newsletter week by week. So let's start off with the money conversation. Now, this is something that we talked about a few weeks ago, and we're going to keep bringing this back up, okay? Now, the first thing that I mentioned to you when it comes to your profit plan is getting clear about your goals, right? And one goal could be to work towards your first 100 subscribers. And in doing so, there are different factors that you want to think about, right? One of those being prices. Do you plan on having a monthly, weekly, a quarterly, an annual price, right? And what price points appeal to you from the smallest to the biggest, right? It could be that you want to create a really premium newsletter that's $47 or $97 a month. And with that comes competitive pricing, knowing that you're in a market and you're targeting a particular group who within that market, they're willing to pay $47 or $97. That's pretty high for a newsletter. That's standard, right? In general, when I'm doing standard newsletters, they're probably on the smaller end of 7 to 27, 47 to 97 being a higher, more premium type of product. If you're going to be charging monthly, if you're going to be charging annually, having an annual subscription that's anywhere between 47 to 97 makes sense, right? Depending upon your month-by-month pricing. So if you look at this chart right here, you can see that at a $7 price point, if you got to 100 subscribers, your first 100 subscribers, you would be looking at an extra $700 a month versus, let's say, 27, an extra $2,700 a month, 97, an extra $9,700 a month. So we definitely want to look at your numbers. And I've actually put together a calculator for you. I'm going to show you that in just a bit. But this is one of several goals I want you to be clear about. How many subscribers do you want to initially have? How many subscribers do you want to get to? And what specific price points are you going to work towards? Okay? So let's look at your profit plan from another perspective. Not just having a certain number of subscribers, but possibly reaching a certain monthly revenue goal. So if you look at the goal of, let's say, $2,000 a month, right? And let's say you have a subscription, your newsletter, and you're going to charge a certain number. Maybe you want to do a trial where you give people, the opportunity to sign up for half off. Maybe it's $4. Maybe you want to just every month, just your price point is $4, or it's $8 like Levon. Hers starts off at 8. Maybe you want to do 10 or 20 or 25. Here are some numbers that you can look at and see how many customers you need to work towards getting to that $2,000 monthly goal. Interestingly enough, I was talking to one of the ladies in the circle. I had several calls this morning, and one of the ladies I spoke with, Barbara, she said, LaShonda, what's the revenue roadmap? I see you talking about that. What's that? I want that. I said, well, number one, it's a training that I did, and number two, it's a 90-minute session that I also do with clients one-on-one so we can map out their revenue as far as both actual and projected sales. And usually it takes at the very least 60 to 90 minutes to kind of map that out, because while a lot of people have the desire to make money online, even established entrepreneurs, very few take the time to sit down and get clear about their numbers the way they should. A lot of people just kind of hold things in their head or in the back of their mind, but really getting strategic and seeing it is a whole different game changer. I have had clients say to me, oh my gosh, Donia and I, we did that last month, and she was like, I've never looked at my numbers this way. But this is a good example of working on your revenue roadmap, specifically around your paid newsletter, right? What's a goal that you want to set for yourself? And right here, that goal is 2,000. It could be 1,000. It could be 500 as far as what you're trying to initially get to. And if you were to have something that was $4 a month, forgive me, I said 400. If it was a $4 a month subscription, you would need 500 subscribers to get to 2,000. Now, keep in mind, either you would charge that every month, $4, or maybe you start off at 8 and then you say, hey, I am doing a launch and I'm going to give people the opportunity to get in, you get grandfathered in at half off, or I'm going to give you the opportunity to try it out and you get paid $4 for the first month, and then every month after that is $8. So you can do that as a trial or as the actual monthly rate, right? And you can see here, if you have a newsletter and you decide to charge $10 a month, then you would need 200 subscribers to get to 2,000. Or let's say you decided to charge $25 for your newsletter, you would need 80 people to get to 2,000. So let's say you decided that you wanted your newsletter to be $20, right? You could just out of the gates launch it at 20, or say, you know what, for the first 50 subscribers, you can sign up for $10, and then everybody else will get it at 20. There are a lot of different ways that you can do this, whether or not you out of the gates offer your retail price as is, or some sort of reduced rate trial opportunity, okay? But talking about the numbers, talking about the money, I want us to consistently come back to that conversation, because as you are working on your newsletter, you want to think about this, right? But it's also about the little things that people don't mention that you should be aware of, right? Just because you say your newsletter is X dollars does not mean there's no wiggle room. So you can say, you know what, I have the intention of it being, $20 a month, but maybe I'm going to give people a reduced rate discount just to start to get the ball rolling, right? If that is something that you want to do, okay? So this is slide number 2 around the profit plan, 100 subs, number 1, concept to think about. Getting to a specific number, 2,000 might not be your number. That might be a little bit high or a little bit low for you. The next thing I want to do is talk to you about your profit potential calculator. So I actually put together a Google sheet, kind of like Excel, but Google's version, right? A Google sheet. And it is a calculator that you can put in 2 numbers, and then it will break down everything else for you. It's pretty awesome. So first, let me just show it to you right here real quick, and then I'm going to go into the document itself. So The two numbers that you adjust, number one, the number of free subscribers you have, and number two, the conversion rate that you are looking to calculate your actual profit numbers from. So what does that mean? So let's say you've got 1,000 subscribers on your free email list, and they're going to be like the first people that you market your paid newsletter to, okay? So you're like, okay, I have 1,000 subscribers, and my goal is to get 8% of those people to pay me, okay? So if you have 1,000 free subscribers, then 8% of that is 80 people converting. Now, why 8%? Well, I use ConvertKit for my newsletter, and ConvertKit has done quite a bit of research, marketing, and put quite a bit of effort into building up their paid newsletter plan. They actually have a new free plan for just people who are interested in creating a paid newsletter through the ConvertKit platform, which is pretty awesome. And based on their research, they've seen that on average, people who have an established newsletter can get about 8% of their existing subscribers to convert over to paying customers, okay? That's just the average. Now, with that being said, here you'll see a couple of things. Number one, I have set price points, just as I mentioned to you, ranging from $4 to $24. What you see here is the ConvertKit fee. What is that? Well, ConvertKit charges for every transaction, they charge, I believe, 3.35% plus 30 cents per transaction. So that is calculated. So there's a fee, just like if you were to use PayPal or anything else, right? There's a transactional fee involved. And so the transaction fee, and I believe it's not ConvertKit per se, but because your payments are processed through Stripe, right? So with your payments being processed through Stripe, that conversion fee means that if somebody were to pay you $4, you would get $4 minus 44 cents. If somebody were to pay you $20, you would get $20 minus $1, which would be $19, because every e-commerce platform has some kind of transactional fee per sale, okay? So the transaction fee is calculated. You put in your conversion rate, and then you're able to see how much money you would make monthly versus annually. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So if you had 1,000 subscribers and you got 80 of those people to become paid customers, and those people were paying you $4 a month, you would make an extra $285 a month, an extra $3,000 for the year, right? If you had 1,000 subscribers that were free, and then you created a newsletter and it was, let's say, $8, and you got 80 people to subscribe at $8 a month, that would be an extra $594, roughly $600, an extra $7,000 into your business on an annual basis, right? So this is you looking at, how can I add on to my monthly goals? So maybe you want your newsletter to help you bring in an extra $500 a month, an extra $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month. This would allow you to have a calculator that's going to help you assess what that would look like. Any of you have an existing subscriber list of free subscribers? Anyone here have an existing list of free subscribers? Question number one. And question number two, if you do have free subscribers right now, do you know how big your list is? Okay, these are questions I want you to think about. As you're thinking about those questions, I am going to, I see 300 pop up on the screen. All right, awesome. I'm going to do a quick transition. So this is the profit potential calculator I've put together for you. And I'm going to make sure that you can download this from the replays page, okay? So it will be on the replays page, so don't worry. You'll get to download this. You'll make a copy of it, right? So you have a copy for yourself. And basically, you have 1,000 here, and then you can change the conversion rate. So let's say, for example, I said, okay, well, I want to see what it would be like if I converted. Now, on average, when you're thinking about conversion rates, when it comes to email marketing, average conversion for like clicks is 2 to 5%, okay? If you were actually clicking links in your emails, okay? So we're looking at about 2% on the low end. 20% is like super, super high end, right? And as ConvertKit, as according to their research, 8% is like average for people converting their existing followers on their free list to paid subscribers, okay? So let's say I was to do, I'm going to change the number 8 to 20%, okay? 20%. So that means if I was to create a newsletter at $20 a month and I got 20% of 1,000 people, that would be 200 people. If I got 200 people to sign up at $20 a month, that would be $3,800 per month, $45,000 for the year, okay? So that's how this calculator works. Now, I saw somebody say 300 free subscribers. Awesome. So I'm going to change this number from 1,000 to 300. Now, keep in mind, you only have to change the blue one because guess what? Once you change it, everything else at the bottom is going to change. Now, technically speaking, you could change the prices as well. I mean, I've set these for you, but if you wanted to change these numbers, you could do that too. The main number you might want to change is the number of subscribers and then the conversion rate. So if you had 300 free subscribers and you were able to convert 20% of those people, that would equate to 60 people, okay? And so if you got, let's say you decided to launch a newsletter that was $7 a month, for 60 people buying into that newsletter, that would be $387 a month and an extra $4,648 for the year, okay? So this calculator, again, my goal is to help you really kind of crunch the numbers both initially and consistently, right? So as you are working on your newsletter, you can come back to this and say, okay, now here's my numbers, put it in there and assess what you're working with, right? Because otherwise we go off of feeling, we go off of, well, I think it, or we don't even go off of that at all. We just kind of just blindly keep moving forward and doing the work and not necessarily assessing the numbers as well as we should. So I'm just going to take these back to the defaults that I have here, number one. And like I said, if you would like, not if you would like, I will definitely, I'll definitely make sure that you get this calculator on the replays page. It's not there now, but it will be. And if you do have any questions for me,